Yo, Natsu here. Sorry for yesterday and not actually posting anything. I had a headache, which was not as bad as, well, last time, which was only 3 days ago. But I still didn't want to come out simply because I didn't want to actually have it start to hurt as much, just for if. So yeah, let's start with the next part of what if Deku could learn. In the last part, it ended with Deku actually going to Nezu's office with President Mike and Aizawa, because Aizawa actually wanted to test out, well, about Deku's quirks, as well as Nezu wanting to ask a few questions. So basically Deku showed some of the things he could do, since literally he doesn't hide them. Like, everyone literally thinks it's his quirk, and because of the massive poker face he can do by this point, he can literally lie to anyone without them actually being able to know if he's lying or not, unless he wants to make people think he is lying, which he can actually make the perfect movement to make it look as if he is lying, which is great for him. So, basically, well, how they think it works is that when he actually goes to another world, he can stay there for an entire year and come back, well, only being gone for 2 days there, well, in any other worlds, as well as actually being able to still use that specific quirk, even when Aizawa tries to remove his quirks, simply because of a ball of energy that blocks anything from the outside, allowing him to still go. But he still isn't able to actually pop out quirks, which are truly quirks that he learns from other people. Those, he cannot use them when Aizawa tries to stop him from using quirks. So, yeah. Anything else, though, is fair games, and Aizawa, Nezu, and President Mike understand that, okay, anything he learns that isn't from our quote-unquote world, or at least everything that wasn't created by his quirk in itself, won't be stopped because it's not counted as a quirk. But anything he copied that is a quirk will actually be stopped. Which is why his ability to nullify pain cannot actually be stopped by Aizawa, because yes, he learned it while trying to get the healing quirk, but it wasn't actually made by a quirk. He literally just learned to do that by himself without actually copying any quirks. Basically making that one able to just pass under the radar. While his healing ability is also now able to go under the radar, simply because he can heal himself with Nen, Magicules, since his body is literally made exactly like a slime when he needs to, so like he could get his arm ripped off while he's still in human form, which when he is in human form he still has bone, blood, stuff like that, compared to Rimuru. Then Deku could turn into a slime, or that part of his body into a slime, fix it near instantly, and turn it back into human. Or he could make his body slime-like while still looking human, and not have any problems. And basically that makes that all of his healing abilities at once can just basically heal him from near everything. Like, by this point, his head being taken off, since he is made of pure magicules, just like Rimuru, he could still survive this. Which is horrifying, if you think about it. Like, seriously horrifying. But, yeah. So, let's go to, well, the entrance ceremony, which they don't actually go to. They just go to class, and then Aizawa brings them outside. But before that, since it doesn't actually go exactly like in the anime, in fact it's so different, since, remember, Bakugo was never just looked at as the best person with the best quirk. He was looked at as someone with a great quirk. But Deku basically had all of the limelight. Sorry, reading way too much Martial Peaks recently. I almost read half of the manga already, just in like 5 days. So, yeah. Basically, limelight is, oh yeah, you're stealing the spotlight. It's basically the exact same thing. So yeah, sorry if sometimes I actually do those things and basically talk like that. But yeah, so basically because Deku was taking all of the spotlight and also basically beating Bakugo every time he started to get too cocky, yeah, they actually became great friends. Bakugo calling Deku, well, Deku, but instead of being as an insult, he's actually saying it the same way that Uraraka was actually saying it. So instead of as an insult, it's the other meaning. And now he actually has that as a subname. Yeah, I checked it. It's actually called I actually named it a subname, instead of just like beast names or something like that. He has his real name, Izuku Midoriya, and subname, which was the name given to him by Rimuru. Though subnames are not just the names given by Rimuru, it would actually be the name he gets given to in every single world he can go to. So basically, if someone decided to give him the nickname, let's say in the magic world in the guild, Learner, it could become a subname if Deku accepts it as, well, his name. Though he can only get one at a time for each world, and it's not by his own self that he can actually change it. So, like, willfully he can't do it, but if the right thing happens, his name could change to something else. Example, if his nickname gets promoted to something else, it could change to that new name for that world. But yeah, also, his hero name will be placed as a subname as well. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Though it will only happen, I think, before or after the sports festival. So, you won't get it now. And oh wow, the water is actually steaming right now. I knew it was cold, but not that cold, right? Give me a nope. Well, oh, you're there. Why the that's not the one. Where the fuck is my fucking... Sorry about that. I'm really fucking dumb. I don't know if you're going to be able to... Yeah. You can barely see that. The water is literally steaming. well, fogging would be the best choice actually, but yeah. Anyway. No. Yeah, so basically Bakugo won't arrive in class basically acting like a big shot. He's much more respectful. Though people who do annoy him, he acts with them exactly like he does in the anime with normal people. So yeah, Class 1B will still be called extras for a while in Bakugo's eyes. Which, accidentally, because of something that will happen, Deku will also think of them as that for a bit. Basically because after the USJ incident, he's going to the third world that I created, specifically for this what if. Which will be, well, simply put, a place where he's going to get annoyed like hell by a few people. But yeah, anyway, going back to the story. Deku, when entering class, actually has nearly the entire class actually coming towards him. Basically because of, well, literally everyone just wants to ask him what his power is, what his quirk is, what he can do, and basically just keep pushing it like that. And basically what happens is Bakugo just screaming that his ability is to learn. Which a few people just kind of looks at him weirdly and ask him, what do you mean he can learn? Like he can copy quirks or something? With Bakugo saying, kind of copy them, but instead of just copying them, he literally just learns what they do and then adds them to his arsenal. He can even do that with other things. Deku basically saying he's going to explain it a bit more easy to understand. And basically ask someone what their quirks do. Momo says she can create items using her body fat and lipids. So Deku basically kind of just thinks of it and says that he can actually do that already. So, well, he can still try to use it like she says, but because his body isn't actually normal anymore, it kind of won't work as well. And then he basically creates from his hand, literally, he creates something that's in the class already, basically makes a pencil out of nowhere, saying that he thinks he got it right, with Momo just saying that, well, she doesn't know how he did it, but for her to create items, she actually needs to know the exact weight, composition, the atoms that make it, and basically everything like that, which Deku says that, basically twisted around, and he just said, I just let my parallel minds do that thinking. With people just looking at him weirdly and asking, what's that? With Deku just kind of saying, my parallel minds is actually something I got, which allows me to have multiple different consciousness. Each of them are as intelligent as me, and we all share the same brain. So I can set them to do any task I want, and each of them acts completely separately. But at the time, I can recall them all at the same time. It also helps that I have something that allows me to think faster, and allows me to stretch a single second of time into 70 seconds in total while thinking. though my body isn't able to move as fast as that, so I have to be careful, since in fight it can be great to dodge stuff, but it also is pretty easy to trip on myself when that happens. Basically just people looking at him like he's crazy, until he starts hearing someone coming down the hallway, counts that everyone's there, and basically tells everyone that the teacher's coming and they should sit down. Basically making Aizawa enter class and see that everyone is already, sitting calm and basically waiting for him. Basically making him think that, basically making him say, at least you won't make me lose my time. And basically starts his speech, tells them to go change and then to come to the courtyard outside. With him telling them to go, Deku stands up and basically, in a moment, his clothes just change on himself to sports clothes. With Aizawa asking him if it's the same thing he did in the entrance exam, with Deku saying that no, this is different, basically saying that his clothes are made of pure energy, making them more resistant than even leather armor. Basically, a few people thinking to themselves, that's a weird example, with Deku then saying that it's also pretty resistant to blade, blunt force, and a few other things. But his armors, and then basically takes one out, basically saying that he could use them as hero suits, but those are created differently, and are actually made of materials that he basically forged into the right form. Basically saying that he can also do this, basically going towards someone. Let's just say the closest person is Jiro, which he freaks out a bit when Deku grabs her, and he basically places an armor on her, perfectly fitted for her form. With a few people just kind of being amazed and asking if they can try some, with Aizawa just telling him to remove that one because they're going to lose time. Basically, Deku taking it back, saying sorry to Jiro, and basically following Aizawa directly since, he's already going outside. Basically, that makes everyone go change, with in the boys' bathroom having Bakugo and the other guys talking about Deku's powers, basically asking Bakugo, what Deku can do, because that's really impressive and weird. With Bakugo saying that he can literally learn anything, but more importantly, he has the ability to go to other worlds created by his quirk, which can have many different things which aren't quirks that he can also learn. Basically asking if anyone saw him heal people in the entrance exam. Basically from Bakugo hearing about it, Ida saying that he saw it, with Bakugo then saying that this is something he calls magic, that it is magic, allowing Deku to actually forcefully recreate new cells to fix literally anything. Though it couldn't heal cancer, but if he was able to cut out the dead parts or the cancerous parts of something, he could actually regrow them perfectly. Basically, Bakugo then stating 2 or 3 more things, basically saying that he can fly, he has nanomachines in his body that he can send around, he has a type of energy that he uses to create items or clothes that are extremely strong, with then someone just stopping him and saying, nanomachines, with Bakugo saying that his body creates them by now. Just everyone freaking out even more, until Bakugo's already completely dressed and says that he's going. During that time, the girls were basically asking questions to themselves, which they couldn't actually answer. But anyway, everyone gets in the yard, and basically Aizawa just looks around, looks at Bakugo, and throws him the ball, saying that he wants Bakugo to use his quirk and throw the ball as far as he can. Someone asking why Aizawa gave the ball to the second place, with Aizawa saying that if he gave it to Deku, well, to Izuku, he would probably just throw it into space. Deku just saying, yeah, sorry about that. Basically making the joke that Aizawa said, just make everyone think, wait, he could do that? Aizawa just said I was joking, but impressive. Like, with a dead tone of, okay, no, I'm not believing that one. Basically, Bakugo throws the ball, and it actually goes about 100 meters more than in the anime. Basically, because Bakugo actually trained a lot more in this one, since he actually had a rival, didn't have his head up his ass so far that he could see his teeth, and he didn't actually slack off at any point, thinking that everyone else is below him. So, yeah, Bakugo is stronger both physically and quirk-wise. So, pretty impressive. Also, because of Bakugo talking with Deku about this previously, Deku actually made him an armor that he can literally just give the Bakugo at any point. Basically, he didn't go all out though. Basically, Deku just asking him why he didn't go all out. Bakugo saying that he doesn't want to destroy the balls anyway. Aizawa actually telling Bakugo that he can destroy it, basically giving him another one and telling him to throw it as hard as he can this time. Bakugo actually asking Deku, can you take it out now? Aizawa just looking at him like, what do you mean? Then Deku just asks everything or just the boots, with Bakugo saying just the boots. Basically touching his shoulder, a lower part of armor appears on Bakugo that basically clenches in the ground, basically keeping him steady, and then he starts to throw the ball, basically when doing it using a lot more strength, and this time actually going about 300 meters further than the previous one. Then Aizawa asks why Bakugo asked for the lower part of, well, for armor, with Bakugo just telling everyone to look at the ground. Basically seeing that Bakugo actually moved backward from about a meter. So basically an explosion so strong that even his body was pushed backward. Then Bakugo saying that if he wants to use his quirk at full strength right now, his body isn't fully able to take it. Which is why Bakugo actually asked Deku to create a full set of armor, which he wanted for his hero suit. Aizawa just kind of intrigued a bit, asked Deku to put the entire armor on to see what it looked like. And basically, just for a bit of visualization, Bakugo on his arm still has the grenade kind of things. His helmet actually just kind of covers his ear, mostly, as well as a visor that allows him to block well, any shards or anything that could come back in his eyes. For the body portion of the armor, it's basically something made specifically to absorb shock, as well as having the ability to, well, pass the sweats that are collected in his gauntlets to other parts of his body, allowing him to either use it under his feet to basically blast himself, or on his body to basically make a type of full body explosion, since the only part of his head that's actually fully visible is basically his hairs and his nose and mouth. So basically he could detonate the entire, well, body except the head of the armor, which is made to literally withstand, well, extreme heats. So the explosion is basically able to happen without Bakugo actually receiving too much damage. Basically, that's explained by both Deku and Bakugo, with Bakugo then saying that this is the hero suit he's going to be with. And since, even if it does break, Deku can literally fix it while it's inside of him, it doesn't really matter. With Aizawa saying that Deku won't always be around, with Deku then saying that he's actually trying to create an item specifically for that, so that Bakugo could actually have it with him all the time, then put it around himself, and that even if it's broken, he just needs to put it back in for it to heal over time. Basically a few people asking what he means, with Deku just saying, well, fixing it over time while it's inside me happens because I'm able to use my... and basically having trouble to explain it, with Bakugo just asking magic and nanomachines, with Deku just kind of saying, yeah, that's basically the point. Turning pure magic and energy inside of me into material, as well as the nanomachines to just stick everything together. Basically, people looking at him weirdly, with Aizawa then just saying that he should stop explaining things right now because they're already behind schedule. With Deku just saying, yeah, well, it's easy to explain those. Basically, out of his hand, they basically see some type of gray smoke thing come out, basically making a ball in front of him that's, well, not really a ball, but basically a small cloud, saying that this is a cloud of nanomachines that he can actually create from his body. Then pushing out a type of light that forms a real ball this time, saying that this is magic. Then he says that Nen is a bit harder to explain, since only people who have access to it can see it. And then saying that, except for that, there's also his body which is made fully of something called magicules, which is basically particles of magic that are basically normally floating around near everywhere, which his body once again can create. Which Deku finally realized something. Oh god, I'm using those near constantly, making this world actually start to have it in it. Well, people actually start getting more power. With Aizawa just telling him to stop thinking about that and that they're going to start the tests. Deku saying sorry because, well, obviously. And then kind of just taking back the armor that Bakugo has. And then Aizawa tossed the ball to someone else, basically giving it to Uraraka, who does the infinite, then passing through... Wait, no, the ball is actually the last test, so no, not right now. Sorry. They start the test, which I think the ones we see are the 10-meter run, which Deku basically passes without any problems. Uraraka hurting her leg a bit, but not breaking it. doing it in about only about a second and a half. Bakugo does way better than usual. Then the second one is the jump, which Uraraka goes a bit further as well, thanks to One For All. Bakugo, who is kind of able to fly in the air for a while without hurting his hand as much, because obviously he trained, so his body is a lot more resistant to it. Deku, who got infinite for obvious reasons, since he can fly. Their grip test is pretty easy for Deku, basically breaking it. Uraraka also nearly breaking it, using One For All. Bakugo doing a grip. Basically, except for those three, everyone else basically does the exact same thing, so I don't actually need to change anything for those guys. Side-to-side jumps is actually something that Deku does better than Mineta. Basically, with his speed and magic, whatever else he has, he can literally propulse himself from side to side, basically going fast enough to literally appear as if there were 5 of him just moving around constantly. The other things, and we get to the ball throw. Uraraka gets infinite, obviously. Bakugo, who already got a huge amount. And then we get to Deku, who basically places a coating around the ball, basically to not make it burn up. Charges the explosion in his hand, increases his strength, then increases his muscle by multiplicating the amount of cells in his body that can be used for strength and throwing. And then he basically activates all of his parallel minds at once to basically place his body in the perfect position, as well as activating as many different powers that he has at once. Basically, when he throws it, first there's an impulsion that basically breaks half the windows on the school. Well, on the side they were, which scares the shit out of a lot of people, mostly Aizawa and the students. But more importantly, what they saw afterward was infinite on Aizawa's counter thing. But for outside the boundaries of Earth, basically because in space the ball doesn't actually slow down, and that it nearly went the speed of light, basically because of everything that Deku had placed on it. In fact, he actually enhanced the ball to basically be able to go even faster. Basically, what he put on the ball allows the ball to actually take the speed it should go at, and basically increased it by around 15 times. And the ball basically is going, well, thanks to the coating around the ball that Deku placed, it won't actually break because of too much speed. And it basically goes at around 50% the speed of light, which is pretty fast, since think of it like this. Light can do the entire surrounding of the Earth 8 times in a single second. The ball could go 4 times around the Earth in a single second. But right now, it's actually going straight into space. And what nobody sees is actually that it hits, well, a planet not long after. Basically, it would take, another thing is, it would take about 8 minutes for the sun to actually stop sending light if it exploded for us to see. So 8 minutes where we would still have light shining on us before we actually find out that, it's not shining anymore. And basically what Deku did was throw the ball to the closest planet to them, and basically hitting it which took a bit of time, since he did throw it, well, basically, I think, well, I don't remember which one it is, but anyway, basically, the few minutes later, the ball actually hit ground on another planet, so yeah, that's how far and strong deku threw it. And I just realized that I've been talking about the ball for a freaking long time. Anyway, basically, they just saw that Deku wasn't joking about being able to throw the ball into space. And a few people are now scared of Deku a bit more. Aizawa asked Deku if, well, everything's okay with his body. Basically saying that Uraraka didn't actually use her full strength, only her anti-gravity. Basically because of them knowing that she has two quirks. Basically anti-gravity and the same quirk that they think Deku has in the original, which is superpower, allowing him to increase the power in his muscles, basically, which is breaking him. They knew she only was able to use that one, but Deku seemed to have launched the ball way too fast, way too strong, and he's a bit afraid for his, well, arm. But Deku's saying that even if it was broken, which it shouldn't be doing, since he turned his arm into slime kind of just before throwing it. But anyway, even if that happened, basically not talking about him. He didn't say about the slime part, but just saying to them that it shouldn't have happened. But even if it did break, it would have healed in a few seconds, so it doesn't actually matter. Basically, Aizawa asking him how he heals that fast, with Deku saying that as long as he has energy, or whatever else he has in his body, he can actually do it pretty easily. Aizawa just asking him, how much do you eat? With Deku saying that he can eat a lot. And that in fact, if he was given the chance, he could probably eat as much as the entire school is worth in mass without actually having any problems. But that it doesn't really matter anyway how much he eats, because as long as there's light around, he can also turn that into energy with photosynthesis. Basically, one of the many quirks that he got during the, few years where he was only going for 1 month to the magic world and staying 4 months at a time in his world. Basically doing that because, after coming back from the nanomachine world, he understood that, oh shit, I eat a lot and my body never feels full. So yeah, he basically tried to find a few quirks that would allow him to get more energy and stuff like that without having any problems. Photosynthesis is one of them, as well as 2 others that, are kind of harder to actually explain. Basically, one is, as long as he creates momentum, his body, not that he creates momentum, but as long as momentum is added to him by an outside source, his body will absorb that and create energy with it. And the other one is, basically any damage he actually takes, so like any concussive force or anything else that uses life force, magic, energy, nen, or anything like that, will be absorbed as a shock or as pure energy in his body and absorbed to actually fuel himself as well. So basically, in layman's term, while you attack him, he's actually able to get stronger. Kind of. because it literally fuels his energy bar. Though it doesn't fuel his HP, which still heals so fast that it doesn't even matter. Still, he could be beaten, since anyone who actually hits him won't actually fail him in a single go. And in fact, it would be surprising if someone is actually able to hurt him enough in a single hit, or even in a 100. Sorry about that. Or even in 100 hits. It would be surprising to get enough energy to even fuel a single one of his attacks. For someone who doesn't actually use energy based or stuff like that. So like someone who fully focuses on attacking with blunt force or cutting objects will fuel deku, but he could end up losing against that over time from his body not basically losing too much energy. Though since his stomach is, well, not full because that would be way too surprising, but he does have a few things in his stomach that he actually, well, has. In particular, around 500 orcs that he had killed that are actually still in his stomach. He also has a few trees that, while in the trees that he ate in the same world that he was with the orcs. Then during the entrance exam, he actually ate the robots that he destroyed. He also ate the giant one, so the 0-pointer is in his stomach. In fact, everyone saw him start to heal people, but at the same time, the robot was basically being forced into his body by him sending a huge amount of magicules to basically just kind of absorb it and then bring it back into him. Basically using his unnamed skill. So, yeah. He has a lot of things. Also, every rubble that was about to fall on people, every thing that were about to fall on him, or any damage caused to the city itself that were falling on the ground, were eaten by him. So, literally everywhere he went to was basically cleaned as all fucks. With him eating his fill and not even filling his stomach anywhere close to half. Like, there's way too much space in there. And even if he actually fills it normally, well, then his stomach actually starts to compress stuff and can compress it to the same amount of compression as a neutron star. Which, if he fills his entire stomach with that much matter, he would then finally be full from not being able to add anything more. But for him to do that would take a huge, and I really mean huge, amount of things to eat. So yeah, basically if he wants to, he wouldn't need to eat anything for, well, months. Most likely years as well. So yeah, by this point he can actually he can actually go in the Nexus zone and stay there to train for, weeks and months at a time. From his body actually having enough mass inside of him that can be turned into pure energy to basically fuel him. Since by this point he doesn't actually need to drink any water. And even then, if he doesn't have energy or anything, the room actually creates a light that is infinite. So even if he goes there and completely empties his stomach, he still has his photosynthesis that kind of work, since it doesn't actually only take light from the sun, it just takes any type of light to kind of absorb it, so yeah. He calls it photosynthesis, but by this point it's something else. But still, deku is literally just something that could go there for 100 years without any problem. Anyway, basically, after that and things happens, we actually go to the training with All Might, which the only thing that changed is actually Deku and Uraka, who are in team, and Bakugo, who is in team with Ida. So basically everyone who actually is stronger or different are in the exact same group, so it doesn't fucking matter. I don't even need to say anything about the others. Woohoo! So, basically, well, first, Bakugo won't just think angry and go straight for Deku wanting to nearly kill him. Also, he knows, well, basically, the suits they have, basically Deku's suit is, well, doesn't actually have any specific form, since he literally has hundreds of different sets, which he can mix and match any of them, making his arsenal and amounts of combination way too fucking big. Like, you would need to take every single set of things and multiply each of them one by one together. Which is huge, let's just say it like that. You would not be able to actually reach a limit easily. And yeah. Sorry about that. Also, thanks to him having so many parallel minds, and his ability to literally think entire minutes in a second, he can literally make or change suits in seconds at any point during a fight to be more, well, specifically made to fight a certain being or person. So, yeah, basically, the only thing that happens is Deku, before they even leave to go to the building, like, the moment he hears that he's against Deku, he basically told Ida, yeah, we have to give up. Basically, Ida asking Bakugo if he's serious, with Bakugo just looking at him and saying, if he wanted to, he could eat the entire building and leaving us with the bomb there without any problem. Basically, All Might just asking, what do you mean? With Deku just kind of asking Bakugo to throw him a bomb, which is literally just Bakugo making an explosion, with Deku making a black smoke that basically eats all of it and goes back into his hand. Bakugo saying that he can do that on an extremely large scale, basically saying that he heard that the Zero Pointer, as well as any other robot Deku destroyed, disappeared from the battle zone, with Deku saying, hey, any mass I can take, I will add it. Bakugo saying, I guess so. Just making everyone think, wait, the Zero Pointer is bigger than a building. If you can take that in, oh fuck. Basically making Ida ask if they can give up or change, with All Might saying that they have to try, with Deku saying that he won't use that, so no need to worry. Though he won't go all out, he won't hold back either, Basically something he said to Bakugo a few times during training. Basically, Ida asking what he means, with Bakugo saying, meaning we're doomed. Basically telling him that they're going. Basically, All Might start counting. 3, 2, 1, go. And basically, the moment it happens, they just hear Bakugo say, and we're done. All Might saying, what do you mean? With Deku just saying, I already have the bomb. Basically, everyone just seeing Deku already grabbing the bomb. With Ida asking how he was that fast. With Deku just saying, shadow movement. Basically, if I know the shadow or the place, I can actually move and teleport to any shadows around there. Which is frightening. And that means I just had to teleport through Bakugo's shadow and touch the bomb. Basically making everyone just look at him like, how the fuck can anyone beat this guy? Ida just saying it out loud, how the hell are we supposed to beat you? With Deku just saying, you can't. All Might probably could by making me run out of energy over time. Basically thinking back and saying, if he can fight for a few days without stopping. With All Might just saying, that won't happen. Just everyone looking at him like, what do you mean? With Deku just saying it out loud. Basically, this time there's actually mics that lets people hear what's being said. Because I don't think there were in the original. But basically, Deku just saying that he won't fight his students unless he actually needs to. And even if he does need to, he will never go all out against them to not kill them. Just like I wouldn't go all out on a hero to kill them, but against any other foe, if they're evil and need to be killed, I would be ready to do it. With All Might asking him, what did you say? With Deku saying, hey, look, I might look like a 13-year-old when I'm 15, but mentally I've actually passed almost 5 years in other places where I had to kill monsters, people, and other things when I was requested to do so. Quests and things in a world with magic, as well as having to fight in a tournament when I was, the first time I actually used my quirk for real, and was stuck in another world for an entire year, while only being gone for 2 days while here. Basically, my fear of killing is gone, as well as a piece of my sanity that was gone for a while, or I thought it was gone, until I realized that it wasn't gone, it's just that I'm able to close it completely, to not make me feel bad about stuff. Basically, All Might telling him that's terrifying. With Deku saying, I know. I've been in my head for way longer than what I should be. And with 17 parallel minds, it's basically impossible for me to actually do anything else. Basically, grabbing Deku and Ida, and just shadow movement to Ochako, who was basically just hearing the conversation, and just saw those three appear. Basically, All Might told them to come back, and since the building wasn't used, at all, they can just send people there. And every other team basically happens the exact same way. So, yeah. All Might is just thinking that this kid is stronger than the last time I had seen him. Basically not able to understand why, but he knows it in his gut. He could win if it truly is a matter of fighting to the end, but because of my time limit, I would never win against him. Then again, he just thinks, but if I had an unlimited amount of time, yeah, I could probably beat him, which he's right. If it didn't come to every different skill that Deku has, as well as his body basically being near unkillable, since as long as he has energy, he could completely fix himself just like Rimuru could from a single cell from his slimy body. Though Deku would take a lot of time to do that, and because of his body also trying to recreate the amount of magic, and nanomachines he lost, he would use a massive amount of mass and energy to do that, removing a big part of him. Basically, while they were going back though, one thing, after all of that happened, while they were leaving school, Ochaku had decided to ask Deku, so you have multiple minds, right? Deku saying that, yeah, he has 17 extra personalities, which are all him. And then she asked, can't you create a body for each of them? With Deku saying that it's way too hard to make, he would need to actually make a perfect body double, until he basically just thinks about something and looks at his skill list. You remember I told you that from getting a name from Rimuru, he got a few skills, right? Well, he has the strings, so sticky tread and steel tread. He has shadow movement. He has the black lightning, black flames. He has, he can do icicle lance as well, but that's one of the minor ones since he can already do something like that from before. He has body double as well now, that he actually had seen once but didn't think too much of it. And he has a few other things, like mimicry is something he gained, even though he could already do something kind of like that. But now that he can, on top of that, eat something and actually copy its form, though he cannot copy stuff that he had ate before getting that, which is a bit sad, since turning into a dragon would be cool, that he was thinking the moment he saw that. But yeah, basically just kind of testing it out right there. Making the black smoke, creating a body, and basically saying Parallel Mind 2, and basically having a light basically pass in the black smoke, basically making that clone talk normally, and actually saying that, whoa, he can actually have a body now. With basically people seeing Deku have a conversation with himself. Until Parallel Mind 2 basically just said that it seems to take a lot of magicules to do so. With Deku saying that it only takes that amount of magicules the moment he does it. So, as long as he doesn't exert any magicules, it seems that they can stay as long as they want. Though if he wants them to actually be made for combat, he would need to put a lot more things in it. Then Deku thinks, wait, unless, basically the two at the same time, the stomach is connected and that we can both feed off of it. And basically, him trying to make another one and another one, to have 4 Deku in totals, and basically trying to feed off of what's in the stomach to try and power themselves up until one of the teachers basically tell him to cut it out. It's starting to weird out people. with Deku saying sorry, reabsorbing all of the mind, and the black smoke coming back inside of him. Basically, finally being able to make clones. He just says that, well, now he needs to go. Then thinking to himself, it's too bad he can't just fly back home. He really wants to sleep right now. Aizawa telling him that, because yes, the teacher that came to stop him was Aizawa. Basically, Aizawa telling him that unless he has a license, he shouldn't do that. With Deku just kind of going back normally. Hope you liked it, leave a like if you did. In the next part, it's going to be, well, 2 or 3 funny things, as well as the USJ and the world he's going to next. Hope you liked it. Natsu. Nope. Sorry about that. Natsu. Out. Hey, that was short. Only an hour.